Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's webinar. My name is Veronica. I'm the founder of the Conscious Relationship School and I hold weekly relationship webinars here on Meetup. Wonderful that you made it tonight. So we have a series about emotions and this is the second session. I hope that many of you maybe have been there for the first one so that you already have a good basic knowledge, but also if some of you have maybe missed this webinar, then you can also watch the recording, which I posted in the group description. All right, wonderful. Let me see who is here tonight. We usually have some regulars. So yeah, everyone, welcome. So cool to have you here. Yes, I see a beer and Renata. Really, really nice. And so how this works is that in a moment I will share my screen and then can you guys see me? I feel like I see Nadia, but I don't know why. Yeah, anyways, so how this works is that I'll share my screen and I'll guide you through a presentation. And yes, if you'd like to participate, you're super welcome to use the chat and also, of course, to speak. But I've decided to record this session and also to upload it to YouTube. So just so that you guys know. All right, wonderful. Then let's get started. I'll share my screen now and we can go from there. All right, so there we go. I'll also do a small recap of the last session. So just for the ones of you that maybe haven't been there so that you're also up to speed. Yes. All right. Oh, sorry. And I wrote here the purpose of emotion, but it's the second session. So it's about learning how to feel. That's the agenda today. Exactly. And this is my conscious relationship roadmap, which I've created because it helps me so that you have a little bit of a framework where we are. So all these steps are important so that we can, in the end, create what I call a conscious relationship, which means it's a relationship where we relate with awareness, where we know our triggers, we know why things are not going well, we have a good understanding of the relationship. And a big part here is what I call emotional maturity. It means that we know how to deal with our own emotions, we can identify them, we know how to talk about emotions, because obviously this is so important to have a good level of connection in the relationship. Exactly. And whenever we do webinars, this will be, we will talk about one of those topics of the conscious relationship roadmap. So yes, so just that you have like a little bit of an awareness of what is important. Exactly. And so the agenda for today, first we're gonna recap just a little bit on what is the purpose of emotion. Then, as we're gonna talk about how to feel today, that will be our main focus, because most people have no idea how to actually feel their own emotion, which is so basic, you know. We all should learn this when we are like 3 years old, you know, because it's so important for our life experience. And first of all, we're going to talk about the body, because this is the connection point to our emotions. Then why are most people afraid to feel? Like, why is that? Then why knowing how to feel is the ultimate empowerment tool. And also in the end, a simple technique to feel your emotions. All right, so let's get started. And if you want to join this presentation, you can. You go to menti.com and put the code 97185821, or just scan the QR code, for example, with your phone, and then you can join there. And it's really fun because there will be some questions that you can answer as well. And exactly. And if you want to join a bit later, you can. It would always be up here, so you'll know how to do it. But if you don't want to, it's no problem. You can just join in the chat, but it's quite fun. So one person has joined, really nice. 2 people, wonderful. Yes, and for those of you who don't know me yet, so my name is Veronica. I'm a holistic relationship coach. I'm originally from Germany, living in the UK right now. And my expertise is emotional healing, because before relationship work, I was a trauma recovery practitioner. I help people heal from childhood trauma. And emotions are really one of my areas of expertise. And I also have another group here in Meetup in Australia, and together it's already 2,600 members. So super cool, because I really love teaching and I love to bring this concepts to the public, because my life has changed so much when I, understood how can I feel, how can I, express my emotions. That was so incredible for me, and all the other good stuff as well. So, and of course, I want to bring this to you guys as well. All right, so let's recap a little bit what we did last week. So we talked about the purpose of emotions, because if we want to learn how to manage our emotions better, this is the first thing, because many people have this opinion that emotions are like unnecessary, they are annoying, they are confusing, they don't make sense. And so, that's what I talked about last week, is that we have a bit this culture that people just want to pop pills, they want to take medications to not feel anymore, to suppress their emotions. But that's actually a really bad idea. Why? Because emotions serve a really, really important purpose in our life, which means that they are our inner compass. So when you go through life, your emotions will always tell you, is this the right path for you? Are you going in the wrong way? Are you with the wrong people? Are you in the wrong job? Are you in the wrong relationship? Your emotions will tell you, and they never, ever lie. They are never wrong. Of course, this can be a very intense experience, especially if we have never learned how to deal with it. So I'm not saying, that this is like easy, or that this is necessarily a very good design. But I think a good way of looking at it is that the way our society is structured is not really positive for our human well-being. And if I, for example, could design a society, I would teach children from a very young age on how to feel their emotions and what to do with them and what it means, if they feel an uncomfortable emotion. And then it would be very different, because essentially, if you're really in touch with your emotions, you always have your inner compass, like there's this very famous gut feeling. That's exactly what it is. Your gut feeling tells you what's the right decision. Of course, you're always also connected with your mind, but right now we live in such emotional dark ages that most people just the whole day, run around, have no idea what they're feeling, and then very often, end up in a dead-end job, get a midlife crisis, become depressed or something, because the inner compass is telling you, hey, look, do something, and it's not being done. And of course, in emotional healing, the emotions help us discover our past wounds. If you have a trigger, if something is like create like a small event is creating big emotional reaction, then oh, there's an old wound. I can heal that, and so your emotion helps you do that. And of course, also it's the doorway to our unconscious, to lost aspects of selves. And at the end of the day, yes, especially negative emotions, show us very clearly what we need to change, And so I think so many people that had like very intense life changes, it was always connected with very strong emotions that came up, either there was like a traumatic event, like an accident or losing someone, and then all the grief and sadness come up. And when you're able to positively deal with it, then you can really turn your life around. Of course, the same goes with, when you have a midlife crisis, when you have a depression or something. For many people, they call it the dark night of the soul, and it can have very positive effects. But of course, I want to help you to not go there, because if you, because that's like my path and really my, what I'm doing with my own life. Because actually, the reason how I got interested in emotions in the first place is because someone in my family committed suicide when I was 17, and it shocked me so much, and it brought up this desire in me to understand what was happening. And so over the years, I understood that if my uncle would have learned how to feel his emotions, how to listen to himself, how to connect with himself, I think the chances are high that he would have not committed suicide. Because it's like, it's like with any illness, it's the same with your own body. If you don't take care of your own body for 30 years, the chances are really high that you're going to get like a disease, that something goes wrong. And with the emotional wellness, it's the same thing. You can actually prevent a lot of this by getting in touch with yourself and learning all the things that I'm going to teach you today. So just a little personal story to also that you also know how I came about this work. All right, cool. Now, I have a question for you guys. So what emotions are you afraid to feel? And the people who are in the presentation, you can type something in the presentation, but if you're in the chat, maybe also just, which emotions are you afraid to feel? And of course, usually when you write it, 5 other people also will realize, oh, there's other people that are the same. No, I'm not alone. All right. So, many. Depression and anxiety, anger, grief, anxiety, pain, rejection, feeling lost, frustration, loneliness, shame, sadness, vulnerability. Oh, yes. It really makes sense. Yes, for me, it's the same. It's really hard. And here we have rejected, loneliness, heartbreak, and fear. Yes. So a few words came several times. Pain and loneliness, I think, came a few times. Oh, reliance, that's very interesting. So you're scared, maybe you're feeling reliant on someone. Yeah. Wow, thanks, guys. Feeling disconnected. Yes, that's also a big one. Oh, and rejection also was a few times. All right. Yes. So as you can see, probably many of you can connect with all those emotions, because what's also becomes really apparent here is that a lot of these emotions are connected with other people pushing us away, like I feel misunderstood, I feel lonely, I feel disconnected. And that makes so much sense because we as humans, we are a group species, and relationships are actually one of the most important things for our happiness. So relationships can literally be our greatest joy and our greatest sorrow. Yes. All right, thanks so much. And Faigu also says abandonment. Yes, that's exactly also connected with connection. And Jane says too loving. Wow, that's also interesting. Maybe you talk a bit about enmeshment when someone is like almost like eating you, energetically. Yeah, or maybe you feel lots of low self-worth, and so you get anxious when someone is like too loving because you think you don't deserve it. So there's many reasons for that. All right. Oh, and someone also says anger. Yes, our 5th session will be about anger because it's one of the most suppressed emotions, and many people are really afraid to feel it. Yes, and loneliness is a bit bigger, so more people have typed it. All right, wonderful, you guys. Thank you so much for your vulnerability and sharing. That was really, really nice. All right, so now I want to talk about the body because, this session, I really want to help you guys understand how you can feel emotions, and also I actually want to even do like a little exercise with you guys. But also, for those of you who maybe struggle more with some emotion and others, like the 3rd session, I think, will be about anxiety and fear, the 4th session about sadness and grief, and the 5th about anger. So we go more into this, and of course, it will also be more practical. But today, it's like just one specific thing, which is about feeling. All right. So first of all, what's really important to understand is that emotions are a somatic experience. Somatic means physical, body, this is a somatic experience. So for example, there's a certain kind of therapy, which is called somatic therapy, which is not connected with the mind, which is all about healing through making physical experiences. Because before you're 2 years old, you have no mind. Your mind is not working the same way, and many traumas occur there. So the body is really powerful. But in terms of emotions, so whenever you feel a feeling, how is that happening? How do you know, oh, right now I feel anger? It's because you get a physical sensation. So, for example, many people experience anger like tension. Maybe they start feeling really, really hot. Others, for example, when they are afraid, they suddenly get really cold. Then many people feel fear also in the neck, like it starts tensing, It could also be that you feel some tingling sensations. Joyful and positive emotions often feel like there's lots of space suddenly in your body, like you can breathe again. So everything is physical. And, when I say this, often many people are confused because they literally don't feel their body. But that's like so important. If you want to start getting in touch with your emotions, you have to become aware of your body. You have to start feeling your physicality, because if you are struggling, for example, to identify emotions and even to work with them, you need to be able to properly feel them. And then how it works is that when you have this physical experience of the emotion, your mind either translates this into a feeling. So it says, oh, you're feeling angry right now, you're feeling sad, or you are not even aware that there's an emotion, but maybe you have some negative thoughts, oh my gosh, why is this happening again? I'm so stupid. For example, let's say you are at work and your boss wants you to get something done really quickly and you feel like you can't do it. And your body is feeling anxiety, fear, and maybe some anger, but all you are aware of is, oh my gosh, my boss is horrible. I can't get done in time. This is not good, so you're only aware of your thoughts. Like that's what usually happens. But when we want to get in touch with your emotions, we want to bring it down and become really, really aware what we are feeling physically and how, because this is the first point that we can actually work with the emotion. So you can think a bit about it, also, for example, if you have some physical symptoms in your body that you have constantly, it can very well be connected with emotions. Like, for example, for me, I used to have a lot of suppressed anger, and I used to grind my teeth every single night. And still now, sometimes when I feel very stressed, I tense here, so this is my stress point. And many people have the same, jaw cleansing in the West is one of the most common things, but you can also have very different things. For example, some people, when they feel a lot of fear, they get belly aches. Many children have this as well, or they start throwing up. Then, of course, the tension here, this is a typical fear reaction, and many, many other things. Yes. So is there any questions about this? And Darai says, I get really tense in my body, feels like I'm shutting down when anxious, especially. Yes, exactly, because it's like the protective mechanism, you want to do this. For example, for me also, I really struggle to walk upright and sit upright, and this was all connected with my anxiety, because I literally wanted to make myself be like round, So now that I'm learning to feel more safe in the world, I'm like, okay, I can sit more upright, I can be more here, it's not scary anymore. So your body in that way also always like shows you what's actually going on. And Faith also says knots in the tummy. Yes, exactly. Player 100 games says shy. All right. And I can't speak this name. I grind my teeth overnight as well. Yes, exactly. All right. Does that make sense so far for you guys? Yes? Yeah, do you have any questions? You can always ask, no problem. Cool. Faith says yes, awesome. Thanks for the heart. Yes, and maybe you have heard this description before. And emotions are energy in motions. It's sort of like a little bit of a work play, because an emotion can also be described as an energy going through your body. And the best that you can feel this with is, of course, anger, because anger is a very big emotion. It's like strong, and it can literally feel that there's waves of anger going through you, like very energetically, and other emotions are usually a bit more subtle. And how you can, a really helpful analogy here is that you think about that emotions are actually like water. The more you try to stop it, like let's imagine like a water that is held back by a dam, or a river that is artificially made smaller. What happens? The water starts to push, the river gets really, really strong. It gets really, really fast, it's like forceful. But if you open up, if you make space for the water has space to flow. And so it softens, it calms down, it becomes more relaxed, and that's the same with emotions. So, and many people, the reason why they find emotions like so scary, or, when someone has a very strong emotional reaction, is because they do this, they try to hold it in, and they're like, instead of opening up and really feeling, because then the emotion calms down. Because, as I said in the beginning, it is a messenger. It wants to tell you something, and it wants to be heard. If you're like pushing against it, if you're trying to fight it, it will become stronger, because it's like, hey, there is something here, and you got to see this, So it's really helpful to always remember, okay, open up. And of course, I totally understand that if you've never done this, it feels really scary. But I remember I had one webinar participant like a month ago or 2 months ago, and he said to me, because I mentioned this in one other webinar, he said like, wow, Veronica, now I always do this. And I feel such a difference, because I feel like my emotions are not so strong. And that was just after I mentioned it like one time, because maybe no one has ever told you that you could also do this, because your automatic reaction is just tense and to push it away. But what if you would actually make space and welcome the emotion and see how it actually feels and what it wants to tell you? But I'll explain this a little bit later, a bit more. And Imogen says, my fists are clenched upon walking. Yeah, that could also be connected with suppressed anger or also fear. And yes, she asked, does anybody else have that? So maybe some of you guys have the same experience. All right, cool. So we have another question, and it says, there's a winner, but there's no right or wrong answer. It's just the way this works. And again, you guys can, of course, absolutely welcome to also, yeah, perfect. There we go. Wonderful. I love Menti so much. Nice one. All right, cool. So there's no correct answers, okay? It's just we use the free version, and so you can only ask questions like this. All right, so did someone teach you how to manage emotions in childhood? Yes. My parents rarely showed any emotions. I was taught to suppress emotions. Some emotions were okay, others were not. So maybe in your in the chat, you can also answer 1 to 4. All right, so 3 people said some emotions were okay, others were not. Yes, this is really, really typical, because in many families, for example, they don't mind if you cry, but if you get angry, they get really upset. And that, of course, comes because the parents have had some bad experiences expressing those emotions. And so it's like these unconscious values that we hold about emotions, one person says, I was taught to suppress emotions. I'm wondering, are you a man? And 2 people says, my parents rarely showed any emotions. Wow. And that's, of course, also a really big factor, because even if your parents maybe don't mind you showing emotions, or they never said you, they also didn't model how to do it in a healthy way, So it can also be like, and of course, children learn so much just by watching their parents and observing, and they want to be the same, or they think this is a good way to be, all those things. So yes, thanks for your answers. Yeah, and in chat also someone says more option 4, some were okay, some not. Carolyn, I was taught to suppress emotions. Yes. Faith also, wow. And my parents rarely showed any emotions. Yeah, so I think this is really telling that no one said yes. This is really, really telling, but I think this is such a common experience that, yeah, most people were not shown at all. And Emma says, is no an option? Yes, of course, you have your new option here. Yes. All right. So, this can also be a bit assuring for you that most people struggle with the same, like you're not alone at all. And as I said in the beginning, like this was really my major reason to go into this work, because I had such big emotions and had no idea what to do with them. And it was really terrifying for me. And it really messed up my relationships, to my partner. I was constantly lashing out on them, also with my parents, with my dad especially. And so it's a really, really positive, step to look into this, even if it's hard in the beginning. You guys can do it. All right. Good. All right. So let's talk a bit about why most people are afraid to feel. So as I said in the beginning, maybe you can connect with this. Like I know so many people that do everything they can to never feel their emotions. Of course, you can use anything as a coping mechanism not to feel, right? You can go shopping. Oh, sorry, the door opened. You can go shopping. You can go drinking. You can play video games. You can watch movies. I mean, eating is such a big thing, like many people that struggle with overweight. This has a lot to do with that they have never learned how to actually cope with their emotions in a positive way. Like I had such a client that her parents didn't show her. So from a young age on, she self-soothed by eating, essentially. Yeah, exactly. So, I feel so much compassion for this little girl who just didn't know. And then later she's struggling. I'm just going to close this door because it's annoying me. Oh. All right. Very good. Okay. So in many homes, emotions actually get demonized. And of course, again, this is not to blame any parents or something like this, because most of them had no idea. And my teacher always says we live in the emotional dark ages. Imagine our grandparents, they even showed less emotion. So already we are progressing, but it still doesn't mean, we are progressing, but it's not a healthy human society, essentially. So many people are just taught from a young age on that emotions are dangerous and unacceptable. As I said, most parents, caregivers, they are afraid of their own emotions, so they project this on the child. Many people think, oh my gosh, if I will let the emotions flow, then I will become depressed, or I will become suicidal, or, I will like that it gets worse. This is sort of like one of the common misconceptions, if I let it out, it will spiral down and down and down, and I can never go up again. Which is actually false. It's the other way around. If you let it, and if you really feel it, it goes really, really quickly. But then, of course, also unacceptable, oh my gosh, if I cry, I'm weak. This is a really common belief in families. Or if I show anger, then I'm not a good person, or people won't love me, right? And these are so strong, like really, it cannot be stressed enough how strong beliefs play a role. Like if you think that something is not acceptable in a group, you will push yourself to not do it, because group approval is so important. And this it has nothing to do with weakness, or that you shouldn't care what other people think. It's programmed into our nervous system to stay close with the group, because this is how we survive as humans. We are not like solitary beings that can get born, and then from when they are, for example, like what's these animals, they swim in the ocean and they have a little they got out of an egg. no, I don't know, the turtles, yes. You know how turtles are born? They are on the beach, they come out of the egg, and then they make a run for the water. So immediately when they are born, they are totally self-sufficient. And humans are the opposite. We take ages until we can even, walk. It's like a year. And so it is deeply, deeply broken into our system that it's so important that our caregivers, the people around us, love us. So it's a very, so if we create some beliefs that something about us is not right, we will change that really, really quickly, So that's just a little excursion into why do we do that, Why do we take on these beliefs? Why does a 5-year-old not just say, whatever, I don't care. I express myself. And of course, there are people like this, some people cannot mold themselves into the values of their family. Like, for example, I was a little bit like this because I'm very expressive. And of course, also my family did not like emotions very much, but I was like a fire starter. I was just exploding. So my parents sort of kind of dealt with it, but I always felt bad about myself and that there's something wrong with me because I can't keep it together like everybody else. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. And what I also wanted to mention here is that I invented this word. I call it like a shadow monster. What I mean with this is, when people do these games with the light, where on the wall it looks like a big monster, but it's actually just a shadow of some fingers, when people are playing. And this is, I think, what many people are feeling about emotions because they have never gotten in touch with it. Like, let's say someone has a lot of suppressed anger. They think, oh my gosh, if I let out my anger, I'm gonna kill someone, I'm gonna burn inside or something like this. Or if I open this Pandora's box one time, then I will be unacceptable and I will have rage attacks. But this is such a shadow monster because when we have these beliefs, most of the time we have never really been in touch with our emotions. Maybe we just, we're exploding once in a while because the emotions were cooking so strongly. And then we think, that is emotion. But actually, that's not true. Suppressed emotion is very different because it is so pushed away that whenever you give it a little bit of a chance, it will just go crazy. But if you are consistently in touch with your emotions, then the waves are not like this, they are more like this. Yeah. And especially, with anger, because of course people are afraid of anger, what you'll do is essentially you start to consciously release it. Because if you, let's say, once a month or something, you really punch your pillow really hard, it does not hurt anybody. It's no problem at all, but you get it out. And of course, you can do some other exercises as well. So you can release your emotions in a really, really healthy way. And it can even be a lot of fun. It doesn't even have to be this serious or very intense thing. And of course, the same goes with tears. It's literally just water coming out of your eyes and brings you a lot of relief. But I'm going to talk more about this in the next sessions. But yes, this is a big thing. People are afraid of emotions, and so you also start becoming afraid of your own emotions. And that is very scary because it's almost like there's this animal inside of you that at any point can just come out, and overtake your body and just do crazy things, and you don't know what to do with it. And so you tighten up and you control it, and yeah, that's actually a very, I think, scary place to be, But then also why people are afraid of emotions, very, very simply, is because they never learned how to feel emotions, Like any other skill that you have learned as a child or that you learned as an adult, feeling and expressing emotions is a skill. And so imagine no one has ever shown you how to eat with cutlery. It would be really, really difficult for you to learn it as an adult, no? As a child, it takes them ages to learn how to handle everything because it is, you have to get used to it. Now, of course, as an adult, you're not thinking about this anymore because it's so ingrained in you. And the same is with emotional skills. Imagine you would have trained this from 3 or 4 years old. Your parents would have coached you. They would have always taught you how to do it. it would just be a skill that you have, so don't give up and think, oh my gosh, I can't do it, like my emotions are just crazy, or I can't feel anything. No, it's practicing about it. It's practicing the skill. So many of those, and that really is true for so many of those relationship skills, emotional skills. It's like learning how to ride a bike. You need to do it again and again and again. And you can think about it like you were a young child and someone just forgot to teach you how to read or something. And now as an adult, you're like, damn it, I have to do it myself, but I can't expect myself to learn how to read in one day or something. And there's also nothing wrong with me, because if no one has ever taught me, how should I have learned it, And player 100 games says, be half Italian. There was a lot. Yes, I can imagine. But then, of course, is also like, is it like a healthy expression? Is it expression that hurts other people? So this is usually what we find in those societies. We either have the like North European societies, like in Norway or something, where people are like not doing anything and it's like so suppressed, or we have like the Latin countries where it's like yeah, but maybe people can get also hurt, so of course I want to show you ways that you can express and be there, but not to hurt anybody, or not to blame anyone, or all this stuff. All right. And yes, so just a little bit thing, because sometimes people drop off in the end. So I'll hold these free webinars every week, and I have so much fun doing it. But of course, also, this is my job and everything. So if you would support me, I would be so happy. I'm on this great website called Buy Me a Coffee, and you can just buy a coffee, like a little donation, and it really helps me. And you can also leave a nice message, and I always really, really like it. So I'll put the link in the chat in a moment. Yes, so just a little thing in between. All right, cool. So is there any questions so far? Do you guys want to know something, or does it make sense to you? Alexandra says, do you coach? Yes, exactly. I also give one-on-one session. This is also my link here. You can check it out there. And all of those things I always teach, we can all do it in our one-on-one sessions. And actually, this is one of the main things that I do, is actually teach people how to be in touch with their emotions, because most people have not learned it. And you're super welcome to check out my offers. All right. So now I want to talk about why being able to feel is such a superpower, and why it's really, really worth it to spend time learning it. Because yes, it takes time, but if you're able to feel all the emotions, imagine what freedom this would give into your life. Why? Most people, they think, okay, I'm so afraid, that my spouse would die or something, or that something would happen to my children, that I would lose my job. And of course, all of this is, like a horrible event, and it has, really negative consequences in your life. But actually, what we are not aware of is that what we fear almost more than the event happening is how it would make us feel, So when I was younger, I often thought, oh my gosh, if something would happen to my brother, for example, that I'm very close with, I think I would I don't know what I would do. I would just break. I would become so depressed. Like I couldn't deal with it, Why? Because I couldn't bear the thought of feeling his loss. So do you see what I mean? What a difference that is. The event happening and the feeling that this triggers in you. So, so imagine that you really learn how to feel those strong emotions, that you learn, oh my gosh, what does really strong sadness feel like in my body? What does really strong anger feel like in my body? And you know what? I can actually feel it. And this there's a little analogy that I always say, which is about guys who've been in the military, who have been in wars, you know, because so often what we find is that they come back with PTSD, which is essentially they have been so traumatized in what they have experienced. So a part of themselves is still in this traumatic event. And when they are then in like safety, because their nervous system is like going down and becoming more calm, all these traumatic memories come up. But the thing is, what I would like to teach them is like, look, you have already been in the situation, you know, you have been with probably no water, no food, like bombs dropping, your mates dying, you already experienced on a physical level. What if you could now learn just to feel the emotions in your body? Because it's essentially the same thing, you know, like if you experience something rough, physically, you know, like let's say you run like a marathon or you're in an extreme situation, it's the same thing. You have physical sensations. Emotions are nothing else. It's just because, as I said, we have never learned this, and also because I think many people are just not aware of what's actually happening. It just feels so freaking intense. Does that make sense for you guys? And Mansuk says, apologies for joining late. Can I access a recording? Yes, you can. I'll post it in the comments afterwards, probably tomorrow, because I'll still have to upload it. Yes. So I really want to drum this in for you guys, you know. That's why it is so important to learn how to feel. It's really like, yeah, like you can lift a car or something, you know. This is so powerful. It is like, just think about the potential in your own life. Like, what would change for you if you could feel anything? If you were just like, yes, I can feel it. You know, of course, it's not that we have to seek negative experiences, or that, you know, that it's like very nice thing, but just to be able to know in your heart, oh, I can, you know, it's like, whew, I feel less anxiety about the future, you know. I'm not so stressed anymore that things have to be perfect, and I know that I can handle it, you know. It's actually like a big part of being an adult, you know, being able to deal with whatever's happening in our lives. All right. Is there any questions about this?
Can I put a question with voice or on the chat?
You can ask it, yes, no problem.
I have 5 minutes ago, I had an experience with a girlfriend, which has really knocked me down or triggered me. And I don't know, I want to change that situation. And I think when I feel it, is it the feeling, when, let's say I feel it, and is it not also that I should confront the girlfriend with what I'm feeling, to get the connection in a better place? Or I don't know if that is also, because I think when I only feel, or it's not only feel, but when I feel, is it then solved, or I don't know what really to do.
Yeah, so I think those are two different things, you know, because of course, as I said, like your emotions always tell you something, and they are carriers of inner truth. So, you know, probably in this sense, maybe you want to talk with her about, maybe she has crossed your boundaries, or, you know, something didn't work well. So I think it would be a really good idea that you can identify. And remember, when we talked about how to talk, that you can say, okay, I feel exactly this emotions, and maybe this need of mine is not being met. And so you can have a really compassionate conversation with her. But just sort of like for your own self-connection, it's good that you feel the emotion, because it brings you in touch with yourself. And of course, the part of you that is hurt also knows, oh, I'm not going to get pushed away. But it shouldn't be like the only thing to do. So yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Caroline says, What's the best way to feel emotions? Do you breathe through it, or dance, or shout? Yeah, so in a little bit, I want to invite you to do like a little small meditation with me. So I'll show you like a more silent way to feel emotions. And then in the other webinars, I will teach more, for example, what can you do if you feel sadness? What can you do if you feel anger or grief? So I will go more into this. But all these ways that you said are really good, definitely. And emotions, but when I felt grief, I cried for hours, then got put in a psychiatric hospital. So I don't really understand how really feeling your feelings prevents you from coming to harm. Wow, I mean, I don't, of course, I don't know the situation, but to me that says a lot, because when you feel genuine grief, why would crying be not a natural and normal response? It would be, no? I mean, we used to have the culture that when something happened that made you grieve, like your spouse died or something like this, they would be grieving for like a month or two. It would just be letting out, crying, feeling the grief. The neighbors would bring food, your family would be with you, and that's the way how to process an emotion. That's normal. I recently heard that now it's even a reason, like when you lost someone, it's a reason to prescribe antidepressants. Like what is this? It just stops you from actually progressing through the emotion. Then of course, this is like the first step with feeling, as I just said to Corey. Then the next thing is, what is there to do about it if it's a situation with someone else? But of course, if you have lost someone, yes, grieving is absolutely the process in itself. To feel, to be able to let go, to cry. This is all a part of our, human experience here, and it's normal. All right. All right, now we have one more question. Okay, so if I was less afraid to feel, I would actively go for the things I want, take more risks, speak out about topics that are important to me, or confront my self-imposed limitations and emotional wounds. Wow, again, chat, you're super welcome to answer just 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 2 people say actively go for the things I want. Wow, so it could be, because you're afraid to feel the consequences of something, that maybe you don't push for things that you want, So with my business, for example, sometimes I have to do things that are really scary, and I actually had to face a lot of rejection. And, I also don't like the feeling of rejections, but if I don't do it, what happens then? I don't progress, right? So I stop myself from actively pursuing things. And they always say that when you interview people on their deathbed, they always regret the things they didn't do. They very rarely regret things they did do. Then, of course, someone says, speak out about topics that are important to me. Yes, how many times maybe do we not say things that are important to us because we're afraid that someone else will get angry at us or something, and then we feel maybe fear or shame or something like this. And then, of course, confront my self-imposed limitations and emotional wounds. Yes. So I think most of the time, many people know for years and years and years that doing shadow work, doing childhood trauma healing, doing coaching would be so beneficial, but they are really afraid to dig up all those old wounds, which really makes sense, of course. But again, if you don't start the process, then the wounds cannot heal. You have to tend to them. You have to feel your emotions. So yeah, beautiful, you guys. Thanks for answering and being vulnerable. And Carolyn also says 1, Faith also 1, Danielle says 2, take more risks. Oh, also very beautiful. And Faith D said, I would do all 4 more, really. Yes, really nice. Yeah, so this is something, that you can also remember a little bit when you embark on this journey of self-development, that what's the point of healing? You know, apart, of course, from more self-love and being more connected with yourself, it's really that we become braver and that our lives become more colorful, more rich, because we are not so afraid anymore to do the things that are really important to us. Yes, really beautiful. Well done. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, guys. So this was a little bit of an introduction. I hope you really liked it. Now, I wanted to invite you to do a little meditation with me, because someone said, okay, so how do we actually feel our emotions? So very simple. How it goes basically is that you close your eyes, like, you know, you breathe a little bit and you bring your awareness from your mind, because this is where most of our awareness is all the time. We bring it into the body. And then do a body scan from the feet up to our head. And all we do is feel sensations in the body. And that means physical, you know, not think, oh, I feel anxious, or don't label it, just feel what is happening, you know, like, oh, are my feet warm or cold? Am I feeling tingling? Is there tension? That's all we do, you know, because this is like your gateway into emotions. And for example, if you are very advanced at this, because most of you guys will probably not be triggered, so you will not have strong emotions, so it's quite comfortable. But essentially, the goal of this is to do this when you are really, really feeling super emotional, you know, that you lie on your bed and you just feel physically what's happening, because this is how you can process your emotions. And yes, in the beginning, it's like very intense. But the more we get good at it, it's like a muscle that we train, you know? And it is so helpful, because imagine also, let's say, especially with anger, you have very strong anger towards someone. And if you don't do this and then you lash out on someone, right? You can maybe say wrong things, maybe say hurtful things that you don't mean, and so on and so forth. Doing this, however, first, is like you first feel the emotion yourself, and when you have cooled off a little bit, then you go talk to someone, right? So you make more rational decisions, and that's why it is so helpful. But of course, with anger, it's also really helpful to, you know, like do more active things. But again, I will talk about this in the 5th session. Okay, so whoever wants to join, get ready, sit in a comfortable position. Good is if your spine is straight, but you can also lie down or anything like this. And then I will guide you. And this is literally what I do with my clients. So this is like a free coaching experience for you guys. And really just be open and curious what's there. And the most important thing is don't think. If you start thinking, bring your attention to the body again. Okay, cool. So let's get started. Okay. So we close our eyes and we can take 3 deep breaths. And while you're breathing, just imagine that your attention goes deeper into your body. So breathe in. And breathe in again. One more time. Now we bring our awareness to the feet. So start with your toes and just feel what's happening there. So my feet, for example, I can feel some rushing, feeling, tingling, quite hot and almost like pulsating, especially my left toe. So just feel what comes up there for you. Keep your focus with your feet. Now we move the attention a bit more up to our calves. And again, what can you perceive there? No thinking, just feeling. My calves feel quite tense. I feel also a bit numb, like I can't feel so much. Again, it's quite hot. And my skin feels a bit tingly. And of course, it can be totally different for you. I just want to give you some examples. Okay, moving up with our awareness, focusing now on our upper thighs. What can you feel there? Keep your focus with your upper thighs. Now we move the attention to the belly. For example, for me, I can feel that my belly is quite tense, almost like something is pulling me down. You can notice the temperature, how your skin feels. And you can feel some energy. And then moving on to your back. Starting with the lower back. Could also be that you feel very numb. That's also a sensation. Moving to our upper back. Maybe your shoulders where you feel some pulling. I feel lots of like tingling in my neck. Between my shoulder blades is also a cold point. And, let's feel our left arm. And just notice the sensations there. And for me, there's some energy moving up and down my arm. Moving to the right arm. Where does your fingers feel? And remember that these are your emotions, the part of you. Then moving to the chest area. How does your heart feel? Maybe you can feel it beating. And now feel the head, especially also the jaws. Don't change anything, it's just about feeling. Just being with yourself. Really good. Now, for the last 2 minutes, now find a point where is like the strongest sensation you can feel in your body. And then follow this around, you know. For example, for me right now, the strongest sensation is in my neck. So I focus there and I just feel it. And now suddenly my left arm becomes all tingly and I focus there. So you follow the strongest feeling around in your body. Could also be that it just stays with one place. That's totally fine. Just stay with it. One more minute. Really good. All right, start pulling your awareness up again to your mind. Let's take another deep breath together. You can say thank you to yourself. That was just spending time with yourself was so valuable and amazing. Oh, well done, everybody. Oh, still 28 people. Awesome. I thought maybe they will drop off. Yeah, really good, you guys. So that was essentially like the first step of starting to feel your emotions. It's really your body. And that's why, you know, as you can see, it's all connected, you know, like yoga, body work, becoming fit, healing your body, healing your emotions. It's all one system. It's all really connected. And, you know, just to tell you, maybe for some of you, it was a bit hard, like for me, because I started sort of like my journey with yoga, and for years, I could not even lie in Shavasana. This is the end pose when you just lie on your back, because my mind was so active and I was so uncomfortable in my own body, you know. And now 5 years later, I can without problem spend an hour just feeling my body, you know, because I have arrived and I'm comfortable with myself. But it is a skill, you know, so I just want to encourage you. And Mancha says, felt my heartbeat up to my belly. Is that even normal? And vibration in my knees. Yeah, anything could be normal. For example, in the end, I was feeling like my left shoulder was like pulling and almost like turning. Yeah, all of these sensations are normal and they are going on like all the time, which is crazy, you know, and we are often not aware of this. Yeah. And Imogen says, couldn't feel anything at all. Wow. So I remember that you also said that you were, you know, that you were struggling with grief and so on. It could be that maybe you have very intense emotions, and so you really suppressed so strong and you cut yourself off. Like there's some people that have almost like an energetical line where they don't perceive anything that is below the body. And how that can happen, for example, if someone has a very traumatic experience, especially, you know, around abuse, especially around sexual abuse, many women just cut off their body because it was so intense and it was so unsafe to be in their body. So they pull their consciousness out, and this is also what disassociation is, essentially to not be in the body anymore. So, for everyone that you're struggling with, there's also like wonderful, something like somatic therapy, or just, starting to do yoga, becoming more comfortable with yourself, because it can feel really scary. So I also want to validate this for you. And Corey says, is numbness also a feeling? Yeah, so numbness essentially is also connected to this, that it is around maybe that you're suppressing something, or maybe you have pushed away a part of yourself so much that it feels numb. But it's good if you feel numbness, because it is a sensation. And then usually if you focus more and feel more, what will happen that underneath the numbness, pain comes up, because you numb it out, but then there's some pain that you can feel, and then at some point it will shift and turn into a more positive experience. All right, wonderful. So that was really good, you guys, well done. And yes, as I said also in the beginning, of course, if you guys are interested, you can totally reach out to me and work with me in one-on-one session. You can find all the information on my website. I offer both relationship coaching and holistic life coaching. So also if your problem is not so relationship focused, I also do work there, because of course the most important relationship is ourselves. And I can also help you, get out of destructive patterns and all this kind of stuff. Yes. And Wendy says, I fell asleep quite quickly. Yes, that's also a thing that happens, because it's even a coping mechanism sometimes, that we want to get away from ourselves, or of course, maybe you're just super tired and maybe you needed some rest. And Faith says, I get bored. Yes, of course, can totally understand that as well. But as I said, it's also about spending time with yourself, I find it quite exciting. Yes, and Max says, thank you, see you next week. Yes, see you soon, guys. And of course, also, buy me a coffee. It would be super happy if you would support me. It's just a small donation. It's literally just one coffee, but it really helps me and supports me as well, because I also want to keep those webinars free. And with your support, I can do this, and we can spread the message and help much more people. So thanks so much for joining today. Thanks for your participation. I always feel really happy. Thanks for doing the meditation with me. And also, if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. I'm super happy to connect with you also in the week. And yes, check out the rest of the sessions. So it will be fear, sadness, and anger, sort of like the three main categories on emotions. And I will tell you, what they mean, how to deal with them, and of course also how can you, make friends with them, because that's essentially my approach to everything. All right, wonderful to have you guys. All the best, and I see you soon. All right, bye.